So basically we're here because this customer said that they thought they saw mold. They called their landlord. The landlord said, oh, we'll just paint over it. We'll just clean it with some bleach. So we're here just to assess the situation. That's about all we know. Hey Nathan, what's up man? I'm Brantley. Nice to meet you. We're gonna throw a mic on you, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we come in?
Yeah.
Awesome,
Of course.
Thanks man. So what's going on?
I want to say it was Monday. We found some mold in the closet, and then we just started pulling clothes out, and there was more and more mold, and found it on her shoe rack, on some shoes, hats. That's it right now.
Have you been smelling anything?
No.
No smells?
No.
How have you guys been feeling in the house?
My girlfriend, she has a cough.
Oh, really?
We don't know if it's related or not, but we're kind of guessing. She 100% thinks it's related.
Gotcha. How long has she had it?
She's had it for probably 2 weeks, I'd say.
Really? So it's about the same time you guys started noticing this, or?
Yeah, we noticed this Monday, so not
Okay.
a little bit longer, but I mean, obviously it could have been there a little bit longer.
Yeah, so when you reach out to your landlord, what do they do?
So pretty much they just sent a maintenance guy, came in here, he sprayed some anti-mold stuff on it, and then painted it over.
Okay, gotcha. So when you say painted it over, it was also on the walls and stuff too?
Yeah, it was on the walls in the closet.
And they didn't do anything with your contents, like your clothes and things like that? Okay, gotcha. So you noticed this about a week ago, and then, you know, your girlfriend was having issues a few weeks ago. Did anything in the house change? Did you guys get new maintenance, air conditioning? No renovations here?
Not really.
Nothing?
Nothing like major.
Nothing you could think of?
No.
Any other new behaviors? Did you guys like go out of town?
We did go out of town. It was the beginning of this month.
Oh, okay. How long were you gone?
4 days.
4 days. What did you guys do with the air conditioner while you were gone?
I don't think we turned it off.
Okay.
I think we just left it running.
What do you usually keep your air conditioner at?
74-ish throughout the day, and then we turn it down to about 68.
Okay.
We go to sleep.
Okay, cool. Let's take a look and see what you're actually looking at here.
So, like I said, they did scrub some of it down. I'm not sure if they missed the spot or if it came back.
Yeah.
But you can see it right there.
Okay.
And some of the stuff had a little bit on it. Like, I don't remember exactly what shoes, but it was like just such a minuscule amount. I just wiped it off.
And stuff in this
But
bag?
yeah, stuff in this bag is pretty tore up. Like this hat.
Oh, yeah. Oh, don't touch that.
Yeah.
So was this stuff sitting on the top rack or the bottom?
The hats were, the shoes were underneath.
This might be a weird question, but how the cat's been?
Fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes animals are more affected because they're so low to the ground.
And small, I'd assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Smaller lungs, smaller
So bathroom, kitchen.
organs.
Well, we're going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do is actually look at the exterior of the building.
But I think it's all block, so I don't know.
Mainly what we're looking for is we're trying to figure out if there's any sort of situation as far as a defect or install problem or design flaw where water can come in.
Yeah.
And then we'll check for moisture levels on the inside. So pretty moldy. Yeah, I'm thinking there's two things that could be going on, right? It happened so suddenly, and so it doesn't tell me that they've been dealing with this for a long period of time. There was some sort of event that happened that caused this to grow. Now, I'm not here to determine the root cause. I'm going to do my best to help them and guide them. My job here is actually just to assess it, figure out if it's a health risk, and tell them how to remove the mold. And in my protocol, I'm going to recommend finding the right person to figure out the root cause. But in this situation, I have to wonder if it's two things. One, if it's high humidity, just a spike of humidity for some reason causing this mold to grow on the contents and the walls. Or two, if it is only growing on, you know, closets or exterior wall contents, maybe there's something happening on the outside of the wall causing moisture to come in. And when that moisture starts to evaporate out of the wall, it increases what we call like a local high humidity, just causing high humidity in one really bad area, and then mold starts to grow on everything. It's pretty common to see that when the mold is going to grow on the wall and the contents nearby it. So we're going to check on the exterior of the building and see what's going on there. I'm guessing this is about where it is. Looking for plumbing fixtures here, cracks. You always want to see where the actual water is shedding off of the roof, if there's any issues with flashing. I don't see any signs of moisture on the outside of the building. The windows look well maintained. No penetrations that I can see. Doesn't look like there's much of a buildup of moisture. The red flag to me right now is they went out of town. So did they turn off the air conditioner? I know he said he doesn't really remember, he doesn't think he did. But in Florida, in a concrete block home, especially if they were already having a low, like kind of a small problem already, it's going to exacerbate it. All right, let's take a look inside. I'm going to take a look at the air conditioner here. Float switch. We're going to dive a little deeper into the air conditioner later, but I like to just get a general scan on it. Matter of fact, I should probably start checking the humidity to let that acclimate. Yeah, right now it says 80 degrees because it's been sitting in the truck. See, the hard part is they've already came in here and cleaned all the walls. So I don't really know how extensive it was. Looks like they may have painted too. So I don't know what type of mold it could have been, which would tell me a lot about how much moisture was here. Some molds like more moisture than others. I don't really know growth patterns to determine if it was a leak from the outside or if it was just humidity. So a lot of my detective work gets cut in half because half of it's covered up. So we know that there's mold in the closet. We should check other areas to see if there's other hidden mold that we're not aware of. I'm gonna pull this bed out a little bit. This is why a good flashlight's so important. You can see it here, here, all the way down the back of the bed. Flashlight technique is also important too. If I'm pointing right at it, it's very difficult to see. But if I skim, it's a lot easier to see. So you can see the light refract. It's also a great way to get pictures for your reports. See if I can carefully take a look at some of these contents. Typically, I wouldn't want to pull things out too much. One, it's already growing on other things. But two, I need to get some good documentation for them because it doesn't sound like their landlord's very helpful. Yeah, so that's not looking good. Oh, wow. That's pretty bad. Okay, start looking for some moisture. So my pinless moisture meter is going to help me determine if there's a weird amount of moisture in the wall. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I'm on the right setting. Drywall and roofing setting. Now, it's already beeping at me. However, this is a pinless reader. I need to see if I can find an area that isn't affected and that hasn't recently been painted and all these other things to see if I can get a baseline. 50, 50, 50, okay. That's an interior wall. 65, 65, 62, so around 65. Hey Nathan, how long ago did they paint? Okay, so they painted 5 days ago. I could see the paint marks here. I just don't know how far up they went. It's really hard to say if there's actually a moisture problem here. Landlord's messing with things, making it harder to help. This thing is pegging out on the wall. I would expect 5 days. It would be dry by now. Let's see if we could find some moisture on the floor. Okay, 42, 50, 50, 50, 45, 42, 42, 40. Nope. Well, considering that there was mold on this wall, the recommendation is definitely going to be to take the wall out regardless. When they take the wall out, they could try to figure out what's going on. I also want to check the contents in this area too, see how widespread it is. It might not just be that room. When you're dealing with mold like this, you have to be very detail oriented. So it looks like there could be something going on under here. It looks like there's mold growing in between the wood grains. And that's very common for mold to grow in between those wood grains because moisture gets trapped there. Yeah, underneath this joint's very suspicious. Right here, these little slits in the wood grain. Here, here. These little areas you would expect to be dust, but it may not be. While this is flipped upside down, we're going to take a tape lift. They're only going to look at that clear square. Now that doesn't seem like a lot. You can see on the clear tape where they pulled those white slits out of the grains. Again, that scanning, trying to let the light skim across the edge. Skimming that light, I don't really see anything abnormal. Has this wicker basket always been in the bathroom?
Yes.
Okay. So this certainly has a lot of mold on it. You don't notice at first glance. At second glance, you can actually start to see the little balls here, all on the wicker. Yep, so there's a little bit under here as well. I think we have enough evidence to suggest that it's fairly widespread throughout the house, which is what we need to know for our protocol. So we'll grab a few more samples of the mold directly. All right, so let's talk sampling plan. What is the plan? What do I need to sample? Why do I need to sample? The question is, do I need to sample to actually make a good protocol recommendation? Does the type of mold change how I'm going to write my protocol? No. Whether it's penicillium or aspergillus or cladosporium or stachybotrys, it doesn't matter. The protocol is going to be the exact same. However, the reason that we test in this situation is for documentation. When we're dealing with landlords, it's important to have that documentation. The other question is, how many samples do we need to do? Is one sample enough? Well, I'm trying to think ahead at combating the landlord when I'm writing this protocol. I'm going to recommend cleaning the entire house. They may say, oh, it's just a closet. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take a direct sample of the hat in the closet. I'm going to take a direct sample of underneath the vanity in the bathroom. And I took a direct sample of the chair in the living room. What that does is it paints a holistic picture of the house to say, well, actually, we have evidence that the whole house has systematically been contaminated. So there's enough evidence to suggest the whole house needs to get cleaned. It's unfortunate because testing isn't really needed most of the time to come to a conclusion about the house. I mean, look at this place, right? But the testing is there for documentation. The tape lifts are my preferred method. You can use swabs if you want. The reason I like tape lifts is for the lab, it makes it easier for them to identify things because I'm pulling the mold exactly as it was growing. Closet, hat. You really don't need much. Look how lightly I pulled that. A lot of inspectors just try to grab as much as they can. We're looking at this at a microscopic level. The more you grab, the harder it actually gets to read it. We'll call this bathroom vanity. Let's take a look at our humidity. 63%. 63% is pretty high. I'm very curious to see what it is like on a normal basis here, but already I can tell with it being 63 right now, it's a problem. Let's take a look at the HVAC system. This type of air conditioner is what's called a free draw return, which means all the air is coming right here to the air conditioner to get cooled, and then it gets sent through the supply vents. There isn't like a return duct somewhere. So all the air has to come here. That's why the door is louvered, so the air can get through it. So with free draw returns, these closets are what we call under negative pressure. They're pulling and sucking air all the time. So if you have a closet with a free draw return like this, these closets are supposed to be air sealed. And if they're air sealed, it doesn't bring in your neighbor's air, heat and humidity from your attic or your crawl space or whatever. It controls the climate. It prevents condensation, or mitigates condensation, I should say, in the air conditioner closet. It reduces humidity in the home. And it's just all around a good idea. And it's also more energy efficient. Right here, where they're running their line sets up, you can see that it's completely open to their ceiling cavity. So I can actually feel the air coming in from the ceiling cavity. Anywhere where they're running wiring, you want to make sure that that wiring is sealed off, which it isn't. So if you had a 140-degree attic above you, it's coming in constantly. Whatever your neighbor's smoking up there is coming in your house too. There's usually 3 reasons why you're going to have a humidity problem in a house. One is the building envelope, which is what keeps the outside out and the inside in. If the building envelope isn't keeping that hot, humid air out, humidity in the house is going to increase. Number 2 is your air conditioner. When that heat and humidity does come in, your air conditioner is designed to remove it. If your air conditioner is not doing a good job, humidity can increase. And then number 3 are behaviors in the home. If people are doing something in the house, producing a lot of moisture, or too many people in the house, or not using your exhaust fans, not using your range hoods when you're cooking, not operating your air conditioner the way it should be, those types of things can also cause it. Most of the time we see it's a mix of issues. But with that being said, we still want to check the air conditioner system and just look at basic function to see if it's cooling and drying the way that it should. The easiest way to do that is something called delta T. Delta T is checking the temperature going into the unit versus what temperature is leaving the unit. Air conditioners are designed to get the air about 20 degrees colder. So if it's going in at 70, it should be coming out around 50. If it's doing that, that means that it's cooling the air properly and that the amount of water that's condensing onto the coils is appropriate. If it's undercooling, if it's too much below 20 degrees delta T, what that means is the coil is probably not getting cold enough, which means when the air passes by it, the water in the air probably won't condense and it's not going to get removed from the air. Likewise, if it's overcooling, when the air conditioner is turned on, it gets the house cold so quick, but it doesn't have time to dry the air. So either one is a problem. So this is a very, very simple technique just to check to see what kind of cooling you're going to get. Now, a lot of people like to use infrared to just point at the supply vent and check. You need a delta T. Delta is change. So you need the change in temperature. Just looking at the supply vent temperature, what's coming out, isn't sufficient. You have to look at the change in temperature. So is it 20 degree difference? Is it 25 degree difference? Also, when you're pointing at an infrared, you're actually getting surface temperature. You're not getting air temperature. This is actually getting air temperature, which is going to be a lot more accurate. This one gets poked up right above the unit. I'll also add that if you're using an infrared camera to point at a supply vent, that's not the actual supply leaving temperature. Because once it goes through this air conditioner, it has to go through ductwork and make its way all the way to that vent. So you don't know if it's too warm, for example, coming out of the vent. You don't know if that's a duct leakage issue, if that's an insulation issue, if it's an attic being too hot issue. You can't isolate the duct from being the issue. We've let the air conditioner run for about 30 minutes, which is plenty of time. All right, we got 67.1 for our return. And then our supply says 46.4. That's a 20.7 delta T. That's right where it should be. Alrighty, man. So it's looking pretty gross.
Yeah.
My plan is to write you a report that has what it needs to push your landlord in the right direction, because whatever they did wasn't proper. Now, you can't just clean it and then put a disinfectant on it and hope it goes away, especially now that your contents are contaminated.
Right.
So the recommendation is to have a professional mold remediation company come in. Based on how it looks pretty widespread, the whole place is going to have to get cleaned. It's not just the things in the closet. Porous contents, so like shirts with mold, shoes with mold, that type of stuff can't be cleaned. It has to be thrown away. If you have any questions when you get the report, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you out, walk you through it. But until then, did you have any questions?
My biggest question really is like, if I did choose to not stay here, what can I even bring with me, It's like, I mean, I don't know what clothes it's on and what clothes it's not. If you said there's a billion spores in the air, it's like, you just don't know.
There's a difference between visible mold that you can physically see on clothes versus what we call settled spores. If you have clothes that have visible growth, you want to go in there with your flashlight on your phone and get a really good thorough look. Anything that's visible, even little white spots, don't even think about it.
Throw it out.
Yeah. The hard part for me is trying to help you determine which one's settled spores and which one's visible growth, because that's usually what the professionals do. So the option is do your best to find your cleanest stuff and launder it.
Maybe take a few items that you're pretty comfortable with. And
Or go to Walmart and buy some $7 shirts for now. Which that's probably what I would do.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Just so you're not taking it to the next.
Well, you're not cross-contaminating, but you're also not putting something that's potentially allergenic and pathogenic. Yeah, exactly. Buy it for now until you get this sorted out. Document everything. So every receipt that you purchase something with, if you have to stay somewhere else and pay for that, document everything, because you have, a loss of use here and you're paying rent here. Anything else?
No, that's really it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll keep you updated once I get these samples back.
Right.
We've seen these situations before with the landlords, and they're like, oh, that's not mold, that's mildew, or that's not mold, that's just some dust. That's why we have to wait for these lab results before we can write the report.
Yeah. My biggest concern really is that they're not, like, the apartment complex isn't really worried about it.
Yeah.
It's like, how could you not be worried about it?
Yeah.
Other people, it's popping up in other people's apartments and everyone's hearing about it, It's like they're really just unconcerned.
That's the hard part, is like if you're trying to, like, let's say you are able to break your lease without penalty.
Yeah.
What about all your stuff?
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, they still got to help you with that.
Right. I mean, I'm going to have to get somebody out here regardless, right?
Yeah.
For my clothes and...
So it would be best if the landlord did it, but the first thing they're probably going to want to know is who's at fault.
Yeah.
Right? Is it you or is it them? And if it's
Right.
you, they ain't paying for nothing. And matter of fact, they'll probably tell you to pay for the wall. That's the hard part that slows things down.
So is there a way though that I could pay somebody to not do the wall? Like they can just
Yeah,
take care of my
just clean the
stuff so I
contents.
can get it out.
Yeah, totally.
All right.
So, all right, man. It was good
Good to
meeting
meet
you.
you.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
See you, bud.
See ya.